I'm Karen McCarthy. Thanks for joining me here on my channel, Let's Karen-ize. I have my own unique way of thinking, acting, doing, and I call that Karen-izing. So it'll be a little bit of everything and something for everyone. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining, and if you're a return watcher, thank you for coming back. Let's get Karen-izing. Hi, it's Karen again. So today is Wednesday, and that's the day that I'm going to focus on spiritual things. Sorry, I'm distracted by the wrinkles in my shirt. um, Today I thought, since this is the first Wednesday that we're doing this Karen-izing channel, I thought I would just give you a bit of history about what led to starting that youth center that I talked about last time. I guess I should start by saying that my walk with God is probably it is the most important thing in my life. And I love to spend time in the morning. I call it tea time with the Father. I don't necessarily drink tea, but I like the ring of that. And I just spend some focused time. Sometimes it's only 5 minutes. I mean, especially when I was working full time. Sometimes I didn't have a lot of time. Of course, with that job I had a lot of drive time, and drive time was my daddy time. I spent a lot of time with him. I listened to sermons, or I just listened to worship music, or I just talked to him. And I'll tell you, you know that God is real when you're driving through rural Montana. It is so gorgeous, and it was just an amazing time. So, how do I start? I'm trying to make a long story short. So during my time, I should go back. I had been part of a children's ministry in a church here that was pretty dynamic, and it started out for grade school kids, but very quickly the junior high and high school kids were asking to be a part of it. And since the lessons were geared for the younger kids, the children's pastor came up with a way to have them help, and they were called our staff. And they helped us with skits, and they helped us with the music, and we did kind of a youth group with them also. And during that time, I came to realize what a need there was with the kids in our community, especially the teenagers. They would say there really wasn't anything for them to do. They, except roam the streets and get in trouble a lot of times, you know. So I had been praying for the youth, even when that program was no longer in existence, praying for the youth because I had seen that big need. And I'm very visual, so I have a prayer journal, and I put pictures in it, and I draw things around all of my prayer requests and things. And I had started praying for the youth. I had read a book, what was it called? Circle Maker by Mark Batterson. And it was talking about basically how to intensify our prayers. There was a guy who was praying for his church, and he drew a big circle on the stage where he preached, and he told his congregation he was asking God for something. I don't remember what it was, and he was going to stay in that circle until it happened. And he did. They brought him food, I guess. I don't know. But so I started drawing circles, colored circles around my prayers. And one of those prayers was the youth of the community. And as I prayed over the weeks and months, that came clear that they needed a youth center, as a place where they could go, and have activities and be safe. And so I started praying about that. And then one day, now I don't hear the voice of God like this booming voice. We call it more kind of a knowing, is what people call it sometimes, where you know it's got to be you or him, because it certainly isn't you. And one day I kind of had this impression or knowing that, yep, God wants the youth center, but guess what? If it's going to happen, not you, me, I was going to have to do it. Now, that was a year when I had 2 years where my job was super intense. Usually, I was a special ed teacher. I traveled to a bunch of rural schools. Usually by February or March, maybe, I had all of my extra meetings with parents and all of that stuff done. All the new kids were enrolled in the program. We had all of that in place. And my last couple of months, 2 or 3 months, were a lot easier, less stressful, less long days. The meetings with parents were always before or after school, which made my days longer. And some of my schools were 2 hours from my home. Most of them were at least an hour. So having meetings after school, especially in the winter, made for some long days. We have pretty nasty roads in the winter here. Um, so that year and the year before, things kept going clear until school was done. So my schedule was not calming down. So it was about, I think, November when I got that feeling. So I thought, well, I'll just start putting out some feelers. I don't even know what to do something like this. And I was going to do a few things over Christmas break that now that I look back, I know that they were not even going to be productive. I was sick in bed the whole Christmas break. I don't know if that was God's way of saying, that's not what I want you to do or what. But anyway, so then I thought, well, I've got spring break. So I'll start kind of putting some feelers out spring break. And right before spring break, I was doing my journaling with Tea Time with the Father. And I mean, very clearly in my head, I heard the time is now. And I was like, you do know how busy I am, right? It's like, the time is now. So I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but so I started putting out some feelers. I think the first thing I did was to ask people for prayer. Told people what was going on and asked for prayer. And I would have people say, oh, you need to talk to so-and-so. And you need to talk to so-and-so. So over spring break, I was talking to those so-and-sos, and every single time they said, oh my gosh, your timing is perfect because. I'm like, well, wasn't my timing, but it is perfect. So we kind of got things going a little bit over spring break. And by May, I had found, I didn't even know they existed, Community Foundation. And you can come in under the umbrella of the Community Foundation so that when people donate to your organization, they can still get that tax credit while you're getting your nonprofit status, because that's a process. And so May 24th, I think, was the day that we were officially recognized by the state to start the nonprofit. And we did. And by June, we were connecting with kids. And by August, we had a nice group of teens and preteens that were interacting in our program on a regular basis. So that's the story behind the youth center. The story behind that with my health challenges is just the amount of work that was involved, combined with my personality type, which is to go over the top usually. I don't really too often do things half-hearted. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not. But anyway, that's the background. And it was a very rewarding experience. And I'm never, ever sorry that I listened to God. I mean, I'm never sorry when I listen to God. Because I can see that His hand was in it. I mean, we ended up within 3 years having a building of our own that was fully paid for. And we had staff that we were able to pay. So we went from nothing to fully functioning with a building of our own in 5 years. I mean, that just boggles my mind. And that was not me. I was the legs, but He was the one that did it all. So anyway, there's a little background on the spiritual side of the youth center. And, I have to stop and say, if I had done what I intended at the beginning and started every single workday sitting at my desk, doing tea time with the Father about the youth center, I don't think I would have gotten sick. I don't think I would have been so stressed. He still worked in spite of my not doing that. I did it inconsistently, but I'm the kind, I have realized that about myself since I retired. I have got to get up and do the critical things, my time with God and my workout, my supplements, that kind of stuff, before I do anything else. Because every time I said, I'm going to do this before I do that, and then I'll come back, the day just got away from me. And I never did come back to those two things. So that's my first tip, is put your spiritual life first, your physical life second. We all need to do some sort of exercise. Or if you're the kind of person that you do best with those in the evening, just make sure that you're getting them in. Because I didn't, and I really suffered the consequences. So I will talk to you on Wednesday and tell you about how I maintain my emotional well-being. Talk to you later. Have a wonderful day. And don't be shy. Say hi. Let me know you're here watching.